Hello everyone, today's video is going to be on introversion and extroversion. The idea of introversion and extroversion was pioneered by the legendary psychologist Carl Jung. Today, introversion and extroversion are considered core aspects of people's personality. In general, extroverted people are energized by social interaction, whereas those same social interactions are perceived as taxing for introverts. After attending a social gathering, introverts need time to recharge. The Western world is a difficult place for an introvert because extroversion is seen as a desirable trait and introversion is not. Extroverts are outspoken, have great need for more stimulating environments, are outgoing, and predominantly concerned with what is going on in the outer world. Introverts, by contrast, are reflective, have great need for less stimulating environments, are quiet, and are predominantly concerned with what is going on in their inner world. Ambiverts are exactly in the middle, exhibiting an even mix of extroversion and introversion. It's important to note that no one on earth is entirely introverted or extroverted. In fact, to be entirely introverted or entirely extroverted would be to be committed to a hospital. It wouldn't be possible to function in a state of total extroversion or total introversion. So in truth, what we're looking at is a tendency, a predominant tendency within the personality structure. All kinds of people have their theories about what dictates whether somebody ends up an introvert or an extrovert. Instead of outline all of their theories, I'll just present my own. First, I'll start with the physical perspective. When I'm observing introverts and extroverts side by side, what sets them apart from each other is brain activity, specifically in the cerebral cortex. Introverts have much more activity in their cerebral cortex than extroverts. They are affected by external stimuli much quicker and more intensely. What does this mean? It means that introverts are much more sensitive than extroverts, and so stimulation is something that they can take very little of before they become overstimulated and overwhelmed. It is best to think of them as sensitive instruments. Their nervous system is actually taking in and processing much more information from the external environment than the nervous system of an extrovert. Conversely, extroverts are much less sensitive to external stimulation. They are not processing as much information, and this causes them to seek information and stimulation. In the world of psychology, this difference I'm observing is called cortical arousal. Introverts tend to have high cortical arousal, and extroverts tend to have low cortical arousal. On an energetic level, this seeking out energy versus taking in energy is really what differentiates between the introvert and the extrovert. The introvert feels bombarded by life itself. Thus, the introvert spends his or her time taking in and processing that flood of incoming information and stimulus. The extrovert feels absent of life itself and thus spends his or her time seeking out and initiating situations in which they can feel alive through interaction with stimulus and information. The blood flow to the brain is also different in introverts and extroverts. Specifically, the blood flow is prioritized in different areas of the brain in extroverts and introverts. In general, also, those that are introverts are dominant in the upper chakras, and those that are extroverted are dominant in the lower chakras. As with anything, there are ups and downs, benefits and detriments to being introverted and extroverted. For example, in general, the introvert has less trust than the extrovert. The extrovert often has less self-awareness. The introvert usually has a higher intellect and perceives more. The extrovert is generally happier with physical life and has more self-esteem than the introvert. Introverts usually get their energy from within. Extroverts usually get their energy from without. Ideally, however, this tendency would be balanced. There are too many factors that go into whether somebody is going to become introverted or whether somebody is going to become extroverted. What that means is that both nature and nurture play a role in introversion and extroversion. And as with everything else, there is a shadow side behind introversion and extroversion. A person who is extroverted may genuinely seek the good feelings of social connection, which is in alignment, or they may seek social interactions to avoid facing themselves and their true feelings. A person who is introverted may genuinely revel in the awareness of their own inner self and true feelings, which is in alignment, or they may seek solitude to avoid the vulnerable feelings of intimacy with others. As always, this is why introverts and extroverts tend to attract each other. The introvert reflects the avoidant shadows of the extrovert, and the extrovert reflects the avoidant shadows of the introvert, causing each to face and heal the resistance that is causing such an imbalance in their way of being. We came into this life to interact with the physical dimension, which is an extroverted trait, because this is a learning hologram. so that we could increase our levels of self-awareness, which is an introverted trait. That means that we came here to be both introverted and extroverted. If you have an extremity to one side or the other, this suggests a resistance to one side of the equation. This means the most crucial part of being an introvert or an extrovert is not to justify your reasons for being that way, but rather is to look for the shadows that might be causing you to sway so extremely to one degree or to the other. For example, you could ask yourself, why do I need social interaction? Or, why do I avoid social interaction? Some professionals would have you believe that introversion or extroversion is a static part of your personality, that it's just who you are. I don't happen to agree. You came here to be in alignment, and because being in alignment means to be both introverted and extroverted. If you are one way or the other, it is an out-of-alignment state. And so part of your expansion is to pull yourself back into alignment so you can find a balance between the two. This means rather than just accept that you are a loner or a social addict and then defend the value of either extreme, it's crucial to fully explore the reasons that could have caused you to swing one way or another. Yes, pre-birth intention, as well as gestational experiences before you were even born, play into the tendency to be either extroverted or introverted. But the choice to come into a life where you would have one tendency over another tendency is yet another bit of contrast and perspective that you saw as an opportunity to aid your own expansion. But don't worry a lot about these previous factors. It's more important for you to identify the current factors, the current beliefs, which might be fueling the extremity of your introversion or your extroversion. You will never know who you truly are until you face those shadows and release the resistance that you're currently harboring. I would even dare to say that you don't even know whether you're really introverted or really extroverted or a balance of both until you can release the resistance to the things that you are currently focusing on or the beliefs that you are currently harboring, the resistance that you currently have within you that might be causing you to fluctuate to one extreme or the other. Extroversion and introversion are not fixed personality traits. People can and often do override this tendency in pursuit of their truest desires. If you currently disapprove of being the way you are, whether you're an extrovert or an introvert, then it's really crucial for you to find approval for being that way first. This means find anything you can think which will help you to feel better about being an introvert, or find any thought that you can think which will help you feel better about being an extrovert. After you've done this, take some serious time to ask yourself whether you're happy being an introvert or an extrovert. If you're happy being an introvert, stay that way. If you're happy being an extrovert, stay that way. If not, you can take steps to find a kind of balance. Part of the truth that we came here to recognize is oneness. If oneness is the most absolute truth, then external is a reflection of internal, and internal is a reflection of external. A serious extreme of orientation, either externally or internally, suggests an unwillingness to admit to this truth, or ignorance to this particular truth. Both internal and external are a reflection of the very same energy. They're just mirrors of each other, mirrors of the exact same energy. This is why it's very beneficial to tap into both external and internal equally. Have a good week.